All right, guys, we want to do something a little bit different here. Those of you who don't know us, my name is Johnny Corcoran. I'm here with Kevin Haggerty.
The main event.
The main event, Kevin Haggerty. Let's start by saying this. Kevin, who's your favorite team in the NFL?
The Chicago Bears.
Okay. Has it always been the Chicago Bears?
It is not. So I've not been a lifelong Bears fan. I was a Jets fan growing up.
Okay.
Some awful years. My father was a Jets fan, so by trade I was a Jets fan. I probably became a Bears fan pretty heavily, probably after the Super Bowl run in what was that, 2005?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always been a Bears fan.
Yeah.
So you said it was kind of after the Super Bowl run that it kind of you
started paying more attention.
Yeah. I mean, that was a fun team. My family has had, season tickets that we split a bunch of ways for pretty much my entire life. I remember the first Bears game I remember was, I forget what year, I think it was like 2003 when they went 13-3. It was the year that Mike Brown had two walk-off pick sixes.
Oh my gosh.
back-to-back weeks. So in overtime.
Wow.
So they did it. It was a big comeback. The following week, me and my family went to the game, and I remember they're getting blown out in the fourth. And I'm 12 years old at this point, and my family's old and tired. They're down by double digits, and it didn't look like it was going well.
Yeah.
So we leave early.
Oh my gosh.
And we're listening, and we're listening into the car, and I'm like a kid heartbroken about the Bears losing.
Yeah.
And I literally say to my dad, turn off the radio. I'm like laying on the floor, real upset.
Yeah.
We come home. My grandma, who was babysitting my younger siblings, says, "What are you still doing here? The game's still on." I walk in just as he returns that pick six and brings it to our end zone where we would have been sitting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's a heartbreak story.
That's the first game I remember. There have been some good ones. I think that year we went to the playoffs. We lost first round of the Eagles. I was there for that. I was there for the double doink.
Oh wow, were you really?
I was, yeah.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
I did not know
Top five, not an exaggeration, and maybe it kind of speaks to the life I lead. One of the most disappointing moments in my life, just the silence.
No, it's. I went on a bachelor party to Arizona, and our Uber driver was he was from Philadelphia, and the first thing he said to us was, "How about that double doink?" Like, I mean, it was
kind of a national phenomenon.
It was a good call by Al Michaels, and it was kind of an unbelievable moment in sports history.
Yeah.
Some of my Bears history. So my favorite Bears game was the game I went to with Johnny Corcoran. Actually, we went to the Brett Favre game. It was an overtime game, and we're sitting there. We're under 21, and we got some beverages, luckily. And we're sitting there, the four of us, and we're feeling good, feeling loose, freezing cold game, and we're just yelling, "TikTok, Brett!"
That was a fun game.
That was a great game. Bears won that game, actually. That was fun.
Did. Yeah, they did. All that to say is...
What about when Tillman returned the longest, the kickback? Remember?
That wasn't Tillman. That was Nathan Vasher. The
Vasher?
108-yard. I was at that game.
I was there too
Were you
with
there
you.
with me? Yeah.
It's in San Francisco. Me, you, and Brandon Down.
And we actually had one of my aunt's friends who was working the sound. Yeah. And they let us into the player parking garage.
Yeah. We got Cedric Benson's autograph, Urlacher's autograph. We got Peanut Tillman's autograph.
Did we get Peanut Tillman? I don't know about that one.
Maybe.
But I remember Cedric Benson had just gotten an injury. I was too young to realize he was probably a little bit disheveled and had some pain meds in him and probably. But he got on the phone with Brandon's dad. I was like, "Hey, Dad."
Yeah, that was awesome.
Anyway, all that is to say, been a Bears fan for quite a while, and I have been itching for pretty much the entire offseason to kind of talk about Justin Fields,
our quarterback,
because I don't think that there has ever been a more polarizing player in terms of the opinions about him that we've ever had.
Maybe Mitch, but this is different.
No, this is different.
I think Fields actually has the capability to take, we've seen what Fields can do, and we've seen his upside, and his abilities are legitimately superstar qualities.
That being said, he hasn't done it.
He has not.
I'm looking through his numbers. So basically, I want to start by, I want to decide and I want to figure out what I think Justin Fields is going to do this year, what seems like a realistic expectation.
Okay.
And I wanted to start by doing that by just kind of figuring out a little bit about him. I'm not a college guy, but I took a second to look at his career. So, grew up in Georgia.
Okay.
Big name there, 5-star recruit.
Yep.
Ends up going, do you remember where he went?
Ohio State.
No, first.
Ooh. Maybe probably an SEC school?
He went to Georgia.
Okay.
So he did his rookie year at Georgia. Freshman year.
Was he redshirted?
No, he wasn't redshirted. And and I don't know the specifics of this because I'm just kind of pulling up some Wikipedia information here. But he got some play time behind Jake Fromm.
And he didn't. So this is pre-transfer portal. So
yes.
If you left, that was back when if you left, you went interconference. So you left the conference, you were able to. You didn't have to sit out a year.
Well, so there's actually something to that though. So that's not exactly the way things went down. So he was back up. He got some play time. I'm not sure if that was kind of like a change of pace or injury. Like I said, I don't remember much there. But they.
Jake Fromm.
Yeah, so he ended up then wanting to get transferred to Ohio State, and you're right, they did try to make him sit a year, but they had some lawyers involved, and they said enlisted attorney Thomas Mars. Basically, they said that there were some documented mitigating circumstances that are outside the student athlete's control, directly impacting health and safety and well-being of the student athlete. So apparently, a baseball player. At Georgia, used a racial slur, and I think they kind of, basically used that as a case for like, hey, he needs to get out of here because it's a hostile situation.
I want to know that baseball player's name.
It's not even linked here. I mean, there's a link to the article here. I'm guessing that's not public information. But anyway, he was able to go straight to Ohio State.
Okay, nice.
So 2019, great season. Goes to the Fiesta Bowl, throws 41 touchdown passes and only 3 interceptions. And only 484 rushing yards, which is kind of interesting. 2020, he was one of the leading candidates for the Heisman Trophy, and this is the year that they win the Big Ten championship, and I believe they go to they advanced to the college football championship, but lost to Alabama.
Okay.
So so I think the year before they actually made it to the playoffs, but they lost to Clemson. 2020. They get a rematch against Clemson. That's where he took that big hit. Mm-hmm. And there was some questions. Maybe he wasn't 100% for the Bama game the following week.
His toughness.
But anyway, so last two years at Ohio State, he goes to the semifinals and the championship game. Okay. So that sets him up for the draft.
Yeah, no. I remember draft day. I remember where I was. I was at Lottie's Pub. And I was with a former coworker and we were talking. And then I remember when the Bears traded up and took Fields, and I was like, this is going to be a moment in history.
Yeah, so that's why I bring this up. So I remember draft day. They traded up.
Yeah.
And in the moment, I had a lot of like Mitch Trubisky flashbacks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That being said, I let it slide because this is a guy, as I just said, is an established guy. He didn't play 13 games at North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
But I felt like it was a pretty reasonable pick. I didn't like this attitude.
Yeah,
to call it attitude, I think I've changed my stance on Justin since then. But basically, he walks up on stage. He's kind of got a face that looks like this.
Yeah,
very unimpressed.
Yeah,
almost got the vibe of like, I can't believe I'm ending up in Chicago after all this.
Yeah. That was a thing. Like, you got to get a PR guy. Like, come on, smile a little bit.
So it made me a little bit nervous that we just drafted another Jay Cutler type.
Yeah,
I was just like, just make sure I'll play where you need me to play. Just make sure my name's on the check.
It was funny because everyone hated Jay when he was here, and post him leaving, everyone loves him now. It's crazy how it's like.
I loved him in the moment.
I know.
I was vocal about it.
Yeah, I know you were. You were in the.
I think I love him less now.
Really? Most people love him. He's like super blowing up. That Kristen Cavalieri thing kind of helped his image out. He did this whole chicken thing or whatever. He's kind of funny. He seems like a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
A guy who didn't like the limelight was his thing.
But anyway, so what do you remember about the Bears quarterback situation? Let's say 3 hours before the draft. What was the Bears quarterback situation before drafting Justin Fields?
Okay, so I remember the Mitch draft. They had the guy with the long neck from the Buccaneers. Hang on. I know. I'm just telling you. So then, what was the Bears quarterback situation?
Glennon, you're thinking of Mike Glennon, but that's so no. So in that offseason, they picked up Andy Dalton.
Oh yeah,
and they paid him good money. They paid him good money. Andy Dalton had just come off a season where he got hurt. No, he didn't get hurt. Dak Prescott got hurt. He came in as a Cowboys backup and played pretty well.
That was after he lost his job in Cincy. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how long he had been in Dallas at that point, but
I forgot about that.
He filled in a few games for Dak Prescott.
He did well.
He did really well, and he earned himself. I think they played him something. I don't know the specific number. It was somewhere between 13 and 15 million. The Bears had just signed him.
Yeah.
And then
on a 1-year deal.
I don't remember how long it was, but it ended up being 1 year.
Yeah.
It might have just been a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And then to spend that kind of money and then draft Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Interesting move, but Andy Dalton named the Week 1 starter. And what do you remember what happened from there?
Oh, man, you're actually. I mean, I don't actually remember that much.
So he's a Week 1 starter. Justin Fields gets into that game, and I think he actually ran for a touchdown.
Okay.
Just as I think just doing some gadget plays. I think probably just making the fans a little bit excited.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton Week 2 has some kind of nondescript knee injury.
Yeah.
And then Justin Fields comes in and takes over as a starter from there.
Okay.
Basically, I remember in the moments it seemed like this was not a super devastating injury that Andy Dalton got.
Yeah.
I think that the Bears brass was kind of looking for an excuse to get Justin Fields in the lineup. I think there was a lot of outpouring for that from the fans who were just very excited that we had this shiny new, exciting quarterback. Yeah. And Andy Dalton wasn't exactly lighting it up. But Justin Fields comes in, he does not play well.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 or 3 in his second or third start. He throws 3 interceptions and fumbles twice. He doesn't throw his first passing touchdown until week 5.
Yeah.
So let's just kind of look at, so that kind of brings us to Justin Fields getting into the league. So 2021, he throws 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions,
Yikes.
73 passer rating. And then we come into next year.
Yeah.
He's the starter. He's the guy. Obviously, we know how last year went. Bears, worst team in the league, 3 wins. Shows a little bit more promise. I mean, we're seeing a lot of big splash plays. I think he started pretty slow.
What you're not seeing there are his rushing yards.
That is true. Let's go to the whole stats.
So I went to the Miami game last year, and that was the game when he broke the rushing record. And I'm telling you, it was magnificent. Mm-hmm. It was so exciting to watch him play football, which is what I think the appeal to Justin Fields and why there's so much polarization on him, because his numbers may not be great. They didn't win a lot of games last year, but he is an exciting football player to watch play the game.
That is true.
And I think whether you're in the Fields camp or not, he's good for the game. And I think that's maybe why I'm biased, and I want him to, by not only being a Bears fan, but he is good for the game of football. He is the type of player that is must watch TV.
Yeah.
And the plays he makes, and he puts his body on the line, and he plays hard.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was the worst season record-wise that I can remember from the Bears.
I mean, when's the last time they did the first overall pick?
I don't even remember.
Probably pre-merger.
Yeah, but they traded away. I think they did some smart things in the offseason.
Yeah.
I think the new brass has been doing a pretty good job. But anyway.
Phenomenal.
So.
Besides the Claypool trade, that was awful.
I mean, we got some depth at wide receiver, and it just cost us a second-round pick.
Yeah.
So we have the season. My interpretation of this season, as I'm just kind of watching it, is Justin Fields made some bad plays down the stretch. But I'm looking back. I was at a bad loss to Detroit. We were up 2 touchdowns going into the 4th. Justin had a couple of big runs. He was making some great plays, and then it seemed like the decision making fell off, or the gameplay just changed. What I'm getting at, I feel like the Bears were a little more cunning in terms of let's lose these games. Let's do it kind of exciting. I mean, we got a bad defense. They traded away Roquan Smith.
Yep.
He got paid out in Baltimore. And I think they were like, we want to lose these games. And I almost wonder if they're, maybe a little bit of a nod, just you don't need to be making we don't, basically just saying, maybe you can't say it to the players obviously, but maybe to the coaching staff and some of the decision making. Maybe some of the decision making, maybe we lost a few more games than maybe we should. I don't think the Bears truly were the worst team in the NFL last year watching them play.
It felt like some of the games just how did we lose that game?
Yeah.
It was kind of like we were winning going into the 4th quarter.
There were multiple down the stretch that were like that.
And like you said, I'm not saying they lost intentionally, but at the same time, it felt like they may have been tanking a little bit. And it worked out very well for the Bears. And they did a great job of trading down and trading with Carolina and getting some more pieces for, DJ Moore especially was a great trade, a trade asset for them. And what they trade on the 8th pick.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was, but it doesn't really. So basically, So now we got in our wide receiver room, we got DJ Moore.
Yep.
We got Darnell Mooney, who's shown some promise. Yep. I think he's a good number 2, and I think he might thrive in the number 2 spot.
I think so as well.
And then Chase Claypool is a 3. We can talk about what we gave up for him, but I think that's a pretty solid number 3 if he can get the step that he had in Pittsburgh back.
I agree.
They emphasized they drafted their first pick they ended up using after trading down.
Don't forget Cole Kmet.
Cole Kmet, he
got paid too.
Yeah, he's shown some flash.
Yep.
I think he's like a solid. He makes some plays, but we prioritized offensive line in the draft,
which I think is important.
Yes,
protect him. Yeah. Get a good running game.
Yeah.
I think the key to Fields' success this year is going to be a great running game. Right, take the pressure off. Don't put so many guys in the box for him because what you don't want to have is a ton of pressure on him and him forcing to make decisions.
Yeah. So
quick decisions.
That kind of brings us to this offseason where I just feel like there's so much hyperbole in what Justin Fields can do.
Yep.
And there are people who are very aggressively, or like not even aggressively, but they're kind of like casually putting him in like this category of like good quarterbacks that are like proven good quarterbacks, or quarterbacks that we need to find out more about.
So I think, John, what you're doing is you're talking more. So there's two different things, like a good actual quarterback and a good fantasy quarterback. So I think a lot of
I'm talking. No, we're not even talking about fantasy. Okay. Because Justin Fields, proved with his rushing that you can start him in fantasy. But I feel like when you look at just like quarterback tier lists, just like people talking about the NFL, people are very generous to Justin Fields. They're kind of putting him in kind of like the same category, like a B tier quarterback.
So would Kirk Cousins be a B team?
Let me see if I can find an example of something that I'm always seeing. Quarterback. I think it's like Pardon My Take always does like these.
Yeah, like don't even talk to me or whatever.
Yeah.
Like where is he at though? On here, Carr's still on. Yeah,
he's on solid starter. So he's in the same camp as like Derek Carr, Danny Dimes, Kirk Cousins.
That's what I mean. Kirk Cousins is not too bad. I don't know why Andy Dalton's still on there, but
he's at the end of this list.
Well, rookies, yeah, it's on there. Okay, Sam Howell's on there, so this is legit.
What I'm saying is.
So how about this? Look at the tier below. Would you put him in the tier of Mac Jones, Russ? Russ is almost uncharacteristically too low. Kenny Pickett, better. I don't know who the guy. Oh, that's Tannehill. Who's the guy next to him? I don't know who that guy is. I don't know.
That's Jameis Winston.
Baker, and Gardner Minshew. So he's better than all those quarterbacks. Maybe not.
Is
Russ.
he? Is he?
Yes. I would find solid.
You could say he could be, but he hasn't done it.
But he's not a franchise quarterback.
No, of course, no. But I'm saying if you look at Justin Fields' numbers and you don't watch any of the games that he's played in, and you're not biased by like the big playability, I think.
Well, are you going to draft like who is that guy for the Raiders owner for so long that would draft guys who run 4.3 40s? Right? Are you just looking on a piece of paper? Just because you can run a 4.3 40, does that mean that you're a phenomenal football player?
No.
It doesn't. Just based on stats, does that mean you're a phenomenal football player?
I mean, the stats kind of paint the picture. Maybe not the whole picture, but he threw for 2,200 yards.
He rushed for 1,100 yards.
Let's call them all passing yards. That's still It's still 3,300 yards.
It's not bad.
It's
a 4,000 yard season is considered a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, but that's 700 yards short of that.
But still, though, it's not bad.
It's not
30. What would be 3,300 yards? That would be a good season. Almost 3,400 yards. If he threw for 3,400 yards this year, I would be ecstatic.
17. Yeah, no, I mean, but also 17 touchdowns. Give him all his rushing touchdowns. It's 25 and 11.
It's an average game. Everyone's not going to throw 50 touchdowns in a season. We're all not Tom Brady with Randy Moss. A 40 touchdown season would be phenomenal. A 30 touchdown season would be happy. What did Kirk Cousins throw last year? 33?
29.
Yeah. I said 33. 29.
33 was the year before.
Look at that, though. And he's considered a phenomenal quarterback. Kirk Cousins is a great pocket passing quarterback.
And he threw 12 more touchdowns than Justin Fields did. And if you give Justin Fields his running touchdowns, and maybe
he missed a few games last year too. Do you remember that?
He did. He missed 2. He played 15 games last year.
Nathan Peterman had to start a game last year. That was funny.
All right. I'm not saying this to say that I don't believe in Justin Fields and I don't think he's a great athlete, but I think the case can be made that his ceiling might not be as high and his floor might not be as high as some people are willing to say.
So how about this? What would be your ideal season for Justin Fields? Not just numbers wise, but what do you want to see out of Justin Fields? Is you would consider him to be a successful quarterback and take that next step for you?
I guess to say that winning games. I think if he has the same stat output that he did last year, but he's winning games, then I'm willing to make that argument.
Yeah.
Because he's making some plays down the stretch.
So your only criteria for a successful quarterback aren't the stats. It's just if they're winning.
No, I think there's more than that. But here's what I'll say. Here's if I could take a guess as to what's happening in the quarterback room as they're coaching up Justin Fields. I think the turn they're going to need to make, and I think Justin Fields has kind of said this when talking about like the big accomplishment of like the 1,000-yard season, is like he does not want to do that again. And
That's
I think
a good idea.
I think that they're going to say, okay, we need to have you focused on looking down the field, going through your progressions, and we want to see you throw more and run less.
I think that would be good.
And the thing about that is when you try and tell a running quarterback to do that, basically, in order for you to be successful, I mean, it's just kind of a mindset approach. You're in your back pocket, first read, second read, and then you decide you're going to hang in the pocket, risk a hit or a sack, and look for your third read and keep your eyes down the field, or are you looking for running lanes?
Or you dump it off.
Or you dump it off. But I'm saying just like that's part of like kind of like, you know, are you going to be passing focused or are you going to be running focused? Are you going to look for your first two reads and then run, or are you going to look for that third read or try and check down? And I think there's going to be some growing pains there, and I think that's what's really going to solidify, is Justin Fields for real and can he be an actual quarterback? Is if we start seeing more efficiency in the passing game.
Yeah.
And then he has that big playability for when he needs it. Because basically, I think Patrick Mahomes is the guy who just kind of does it perfectly. He uses athleticism to stay alive in the pocket. Obviously, he can make a big run, but he's got his eyes down the field. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's what the type of thing that we need to see from Justin Fields. Because I think if he has another season where he throws for 2,000 and he rushes for 1,200, yeah, whatever, that's exciting. I don't think there's any longevity there. I don't think you're going to become like a franchise quarterback doing that. I think it's not a matter of if, it's when you're going to get hurt.
Yep.
So that is to say, looking at Justin Fields over-unders, and I think I'm going to make a play on this. It's going to be my first. Okay. It's going to be my first bet in probably 10 months because I'd given it up. But his over/under for yards thrown was something along the order, I think it was like 2,775, which is 500 more than what he had last year.
That's a tough one.
And what are your thoughts?
That's a tough one.
It's not a ton of yards. It's not a ton of yards for a quarterback to throw.
Yeah, but like you also have to take into account like injuries too, right?
Yeah. So, no, I mean obviously everything kind of goes out the window if you have injuries, but
not if he plays all 16 games this year, I think that is achievable.
There's 17 games now.
Sorry, 17.
He played 15 last year.
But he's got DJ Moore now. Which is a legitimate Pro Bowl receiver, right? And hopefully Claypool's fully integrated into the offense. We get a full season of Mooney. No injuries. I think he can hit that 2,700 yards.
Yeah,
I think he can do that.
I think he can, and I think that's where I'm ultimately landing on this. And it probably comes as a surprise after I spend like the last 20, 25
just
minutes. Yeah, not shitting. I'm just trying to like temper the expectations.
Yeah.
And I'm just as comparison, Jared Goff's season last year, 4,400, 29-7. Last year, 32 and 19.
Those are some amazing.
Those are really good numbers. Good numbers. But I think he was still only like top 7 in terms of fantasy. But whatever.
There were a lot of injuries last year to the quarterback position, so I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, 2,700 yards, assuming all the upgrades they made on offense. The Bears winning more games this year. I think 2,700 yards is very achievable. I like that.
What about the number of passing touchdowns? I believe it was 17.5.
Why do these all seem like overs?
I kind of feel the same way.
What does Vegas know that we don't know?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it feels like overs.
Yes.
It feels like overs.
But are we just being biased now? But for a starting quarterback in the NFL, that should be an attainable metric. All those guys in the solid starters, they're all going to hit that.
I mean, he's 2 spots behind.
Brock Purdy's a solid starter. Okay.
I mean, that's whatever. I mean,
will hit number. Will hit. May not start the full season. Yeah, I guess for the Bears he will. Brock, who knows? And Fields, maybe. Oh, I bet you it's like this too. So he's on the borderline. I guarantee you it goes left to right.
What about? Okay, so my feeling is over for both those. I think I am gonna put on for that. And I think we might have a Justin Fields yardage counter every podcast going forward, just kind of sitting in the corner here. What about the Bears as a whole? They're over under on the wins. I believe it's 7.5.
I took the over on it.
You taking the over on it? You already bet it.
Already bet it.
Okay.
Put 2 units down on it.
Put 2 units on it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think they got an easy schedule, and I think they could do it. That being said, I think they're
not that easy of a schedule.
I think it's.
I think week 1 against the Packers, it's going to be really telling for the rest of the season. I think we're going to sit here next week, and we're gonna have a lot more information. And I'm not saying that if the Bears either blow them out, we're not going to sit here and claim victory. But if the Bears do not win this game or do not keep it competitive, it is going to be the panic button is going to be it's going to be crazy, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like with no more Rodgers and Jordan Love comes to Chicago and he owns us too. We're in for another 20 years. Of
this is going to be a really important game for the Bears as a whole, because it has been all Packers for the entirety of my life.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't even know when Brett Favre came into the league, but
92.
Yeah, which is essentially like a year after we were born.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Bears 6th easiest schedule. I mean, not crazy outlier.
I guess.
But I think there could be the over there. I don't know. I think I would have bet the over last year too. So I don't think I'm touching the over under on wins. But I think I am going to go with the over on passing yards for Justin Fields, just because I think that's just going to be the mindset. Is we're not looking to increase his running efficiency. They're going to be looking to have him look down the field, and hopefully, and it's the over under is 17.5 for touchdown passes, and 17 his way through last year. I think he's going to beat that number.
Yeah.
So I'm putting the over on both of those. I don't want to touch the over under until on the wins. Maybe I can comment on it after we see how this Packers game goes.
I think that's going to be...
that being said, I don't think Jordan Love is any good. I think they fucking... I think it's...
I haven't heard anything out of camp from the Packers camp, which kind of concerns me.
I've heard lots of people say that, we got another one.
But that's just probably the Beaver
100%.
But I haven't really heard any... no one really wants to talk about him. The fantasy guys don't want to talk about him. You turn on ESPN, you don't hear a lot of stuff about him.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of keep it under wraps, and I feel like that's the Packer way. But I'm scared. Scared may not be the right word. I don't know what to expect.
I think I'm gonna bet. I think it's Bears -1, and I think I'm just gonna bet the Bears straight up. I think that's what I'm going with.
See, that's scary that Vegas think it's only one. They're only 1-point favorites.
I think the over-under felt high.
48?
It was 44.
Well, that's not that high.
Gun to your head. We're just talking win or lose, Bears or Packers this week.
I think smart money says Bears. My heart says Bears. So I'm going to go Bears.
I'm going to go Bears too.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes next week. I'm going to put some money on the overs for Justin Fields, and hopefully I won't regret it. Honestly, I should just put the unders on, because that whatever I bet on loses. So
I love it.
All right. See you guys next week.
Yep.